Boston, the winningest sports city this century. Each championship deriving from a plan. Join us as we discuss the next Boston Banner Blueprint with your hosts, Josh Finkel, Nick Walsh, and Nate Philbrook.
What's up, everybody? Boston Banner Blueprint, episode 13. We're doing another mixed bag. We're talking Red Sox and Celtics. But before we do that, Nate, let's plug those socials.
100% Fink. Glad you asked. Of course, it starts on Twitter/X at Boston Banner BP, Boston Banner Blueprint on Facebook and Instagram, and then Boston Banner Blueprint on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Go like, subscribe, share, rate 5 stars, comment, and then follow us on all of the socials and interact. Have conversations. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to change. Do you want a new segment? We're down to do a new segment. We're down to make fun of Nick a little bit more. So
Definitely.
Let's just get this train rolling and go from here.
Yeah, so we actually have some pretty big news to get into. Not really Red Sox or Celtics related, like breaking news, but we're going to spring training, fellas. So, I mean, Nate's gonna talk about our itinerary a little bit here. So, take it away, Nate.
Yeah, specifically talking Sox, we'll be at the Monday game in Sarasota, which for anybody that's been to that ballpark, that is my favorite spring training ballpark to date. I have not yet been to JetBlue South, so we'll see how that happens or how that is. But then we'll be in Bradenton on Tuesday to watch the Pirates and the Red Sox face off. I pray that Paul Skeens is pitching. And then Wednesday at home at JetBlue, be there to watch the Sox and cheer them on. So next week, full slate of Sox spring, baby.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be exciting. Gonna be a lot of content coming on the socials, live from the fort, and wherever else our trip takes us. But I mean, let's get right into it. The Sox, they've started the Grapefruit League play. I mean, they look pretty solid. I can't wait to talk about Marcelo Meyer because he's tearing the cover off the baseball right now. But Nick, what's going on down in the fort?
I was going to say the thing I liked the most was finally getting to see Crochet pitch in a Sox uniform, and God, he looked great that first game. 4 strikeouts in a little over an inning and 2/3. I think he got up to 25, 26 pitches, but the stuff was nasty.
What a difference too from last year when, third, fourth, fifth inning, you'd start to have these subs come off the bench and be like, who the hell's this guy? Or who's that? Or some washed player. Well, now it's your starters are going 4 or 5 already this early in spring, and then it's being filled by the top prospects in baseball. And it is just excitement for 9 innings in freaking spring training. That's what I'm talking about. That's an organization that has a blueprint of winning.
Yeah, there's so many names I'm excited to talk about. I mean, Hunter Dobbins, obviously Roman Anthony, Meyer, like all these guys have so far in my eyes done what we've expected them to do and more. I mean, Luis Herrero, I think is that how you say it, Nate? Correct me.
Yep, you're good.
Thank you. But I mean, I've said it for so long now. I'm excited. It's so hard to not be excited now. It's only been a few meaningless spring training games, but it just feels different. Like there's a different vibe, and they've said it. And there's some other quotes I want to get into later as well. But there's been a lot of things, just a lot of positive vibes coming out of the fort.
Can I just say, can we stop hitting Roman Anthony with baseballs, though? Like him getting bruises and hurt early on and missing games. Like, can we stop at that in spring training? Just give him some pitches in the strike zone. Stop throwing at him, please.
Yeah, no kidding.
That is interesting.
But if you look at some of the guys, the way they came into spring, I mean, look at Ceddanne Rafaela, look at David Hamilton, look at Vaughn Grissom, look at Roman Anthony. I mean, those guys, they packed on some good weight this offseason. We got bashed a little bit for talking about another player's weight a couple episodes back, but these guys are coming in looking strong and like they are doing all the right things to make the team better. Go ahead, Fink.
Yeah, I'm slamming it in reverse real quick. The people
That's the
on
way.
TikTok,
Slam it in reverse.
yeah, the people slamming me on TikTok saying that I have no room to talk about Rafael Devers' body and size. I was defending the guy, so how about you hop on the actual podcast, listen to the audio, because I was defending the guy. So stop coming at me. But I appreciate
I
your
don't know.
engagement. So
I like you
Bring it
taking
on.
the blame for yeah.
yeah, it
You
was
can
these
take the
two. It
blame for
was
me and
Nate
Nate
and
all the
Nick.
time.
Yeah, no, that can't happen again. I was defending
No,
the guy. I didn't even say
the
anything
people
in
on
the clip.
TikTok,
Like,
keep up what you're doing. People on
no,
TikTok, keep
it's
blaming for
ridiculous.
things. Nate and
Can
I
we
are innocent until proven guilty.
Can I
can we
ask you
just
guys
say
a question though?
how easy is it to trigger the Yankee fans?
Oh,
My
so easy.
God.
It's awesome.
Oh, they're so weak-minded. It is so easy to trigger them.
So
Hey, at least they got beards now. They're allowed to grow their beards. Like, let's welcome them into the 21st century,
that's true. So when you guys saw
where they've only won
Bregman's
one
first,
ring in this century instead of their 27, 22 of them before Kennedy had his head blown off and we had color TV. So we'll let the Yankee fans soak on that a little bit. Like, yeah, you have 27 rings. Only 5 of them came when Kennedy's head was in 2 pieces.
Awesome.
I love the Yankees. Hey, I hate the Yankees. I hate Yankees Twitter.
And they're so freaking confident with Dominguez coming in this year. Like, who cares? Dominguez wouldn't even crack the top 10 prospects on this
Yeah.
team.
He can't even field. You see him in the outfield. He made 2 awful reads on balls a couple days
Oh,
ago.
they're going to have a horrible. Their defense is going to be horrible again.
Yeah,
It's going to be hilarious,
they're
particularly
so funny.
given that the Red Sox defense is going to be good this year.
Yeah, it's
Hey, but
so
if you saw the video come out, they were doing PFPs with Cole. Cole was learning to cover first. Too bad he didn't know that 5 months ago.
Did you watch him run?
he's such a goober.
He's a goober is the most tame way to put it.
Yeah,
He
he's
looked
so weird.
he looked like that was the first time in his life running to first base. I mean, like a little baby giraffe.
He runs like a prototypical Yankee, I think.
Who
What is a
who on the
prototypical
Yankees is going to
Yankee
come out with the
running?
best beard?
Probably Garrett Cole. You're telling me Garrett Cole, if you see him in the playoffs with a beard and the longer hair, you're not going to be a little bit more scared? I personally would be a little bit more worried.
Astros Garrett Cole did have a different swagger
Yeah,
about him.
that's what I'm saying. But
We still got his daddy playing third base for the Red Sox.
yeah. Speaking of third base, Alex Bregman's debut. What did you guys feel after he went 3 for 3, had a home run, a double, almost another home run that hit the top of the wall?
Obviously, that stat line's going to jump out at everyone. And I was like getting to see him hit a homer, play a little wall ball on that double. But the significance of him starting at third base, I think that speaks more volumes. For if it was truly getting him integrated and learning to play second base quickly before opening day, you would think that's where they would start him. But putting him at third base to start with, like, is it core throwing us a message, or throwing the team a message, I should say, in terms of what the actual plan is this year?
Well, I mean,
don't think
Rafi's
so.
not playing in games yet, so I wouldn't read too much into that. If it was a direct apples to apples comparison, then I get it, but I wouldn't read too much into that, particularly given it was his first spring start. But my first reaction is this is why you open up the checkbook. Like, you have these veterans that have proven that have done it before and immediately come in and produce. You already touched on Crochet. I mean, it's like amazing if you trade for and sign good players and they come and do good things. It's like, holy cow, revolutionary. Go ahead, Fink.
I think you got to extend Crochet just after seeing him strut off the field. I mean, can we
Yeah,
talk about
yeah,
like
it's
just
just
a
going to
different swagger? Like, when's the
yeah.
last time we had a pitcher besides Nick Pivetta in that 21 run when he hopped off the mound and was like just tooting? It was awesome. That was a great moment for Nick Pivetta, but I mean, really, that's the last time I could think of a guy really carrying himself that way off the mound, like just looking around, like, yeah, like I do that, whatever.
Right. And with the extension with Crochet, with each passing day, it's just getting more and more expensive if he's going to start looking like that from day one. So the longer it goes, the higher the extension goes up. And we saw how they were with the Mookie extensions. They were always like 100 million behind. Mookie was at 200 million. We were at 100. 300, we're only at 200. And by the time you know, we're trading him for Alex Verdugo and a salary dump of David Price. Like, let's not get to that with Crochet. Like, let's actually do right this time and lock up the young star for a long period of time.
Yeah, I'm still hoping for a 6-year deal, 2 of which, including this and next year, buying out those last 2 ARB eligible years, and then 4 extension years. That still puts him as a free agent at 32. No. Yeah, 31, 32. Is that math right? 25.
Let's try not to do math on the show live. Like, let's.
Yeah,
it's always
But you get the point, right? Is he's still going to be an early 30s free agent, which is attractive to him, particularly given the fact that, I mean, we just saw Fried get a 8-year deal from New York as a 31-year-old. So left-handed guy that has a little bit of an injury history at 31 years old. I mean, that very easily could be Crochet. And it's interesting too, like if you look at the numbers from last year, everybody's darling Paul Skeens. I already talked about him. He was at 11.5K per 9, and Crochet was at 12.8. Everybody talks about Skeens just lighting up the world, but Crochet is beating him by a full 1.3 strikeouts per 9. I mean, this guy's he's exactly what you want. And you talk about putting butts in seats. This is the guy that puts butts in seats that you want to see every 5th day.
War pig.
Oink, oink.
It's so awesome. I can't remember the last time we've had a guy with the stuff like Crochet, but also scattered throughout the whole pitching. Well, also this much electricity on the whole entire staff. Like Bueller's going to come out and throw flames. Giolito is going to throw upper 9s. Hendrick's been 96. Chapman hit 101 in his first outing. I mean, Herrero, we've seen what he can do, and I want him to be the closer.
Yeah, I mean, that seriously could be the answer.
Yeah. We haven't seen Slayton yet, I don't think. Have we seen the Slayton appearance? I don't think we have. Not that I can think of. But, I mean,
it would be great if the MLB would, broadcast these games. They freaking post about the three prospects being in the Red Sox game this week, but there was not a single broadcast from Florida today.
Yep. It's awesome. Grow the game, they said.
Rob Manfred's killing the game slowly but surely.
But to your point, yeah, I mean, clearly velocity was a need for this team. And right from the jump, you'll have velocity all the way through until the game is closed out. So
Whitlock too. They said he's throwing a lot harder, or they said the stuff's as good as his rookie, or I don't know if it was his rookie year, but his first year in Boston when he was out of the pen, but he's throwing harder, a couple ticks harder. Like it's exciting. It's so exciting.
And maybe that does in one way help the arm injuries. Like last year, early on, we heard all the time that Andrew Bailey's philosophy was throw off speed, throw curveballs in the dirt, throw curveballs, kind of like pitching backwards, so to speak, because we didn't have the velocity, we didn't have the talent on the staff. And then it caught up to us in the end. Guys wore down over time. And finally, when the offense started to click in the second half of the year, the pitching staff wasn't where he needed to be. So maybe this time around, this year, they built this staff with that in mind.
How do you guys feel about a 6-man rotation? Do you think that's where they're going to go?
I don't think they're going to be healthy enough.
I was going to say the news this week with Bayo being hurt, Crawford being hurt. I'm with Nate. I don't know if they're going to be healthy enough to start. Like, if they were full gun ho healthy, I'm with you. Like, you got 6 quality pitchers there, but right now, I don't know if you can do it if those guys are going to be ready for opening day.
Oh, I'm not in favor of it. I was just wondering. I want Cutter and Whitlock in the pen in the long relief role. That shortens up every single series. Having two of those guys, we saw what Whitlock did, and he was so important in that 21 run because he could shorten up games, shortened up playoff games even. You have two of those guys. I mean, I saw people advocating on X, Cutter should be the closer, but I don't know if I would go that far. But I think Cutter and Whitlock
Given
in
his
that
home
same
run,
role.
given
Yeah,
his home
34
run
last year.
troubles.
34.
And,
I was looking at
you
that
talk
the
about
other
the postseason. I think Cora has shown in the past that 5-man rotation, 6-man rotation, he's not afraid to use starters in the playoffs. Like, look at
Nasty
the
Nate.
2018 Nate Eovaldi in 2018, Rick Porcello in 2018. I think they call it the rover role, where you had whichever starter was due to throw a bullpen that day. He's going to be your long reliever, and that's who he's going to mix and match. If you got to shorten the game, if the starter can get
Walker
through.
Walker Buehler just finished the World Series.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
But exactly, like there's experience there in terms of doing that. Cora has shown in the past when it comes to the bullpen in the playoffs, he tends to hit the right buttons when needed. There hasn't really been that misstep in the 2 playoff runs he's been manager for. And if there is, and I'm forgetting it on the fly, I apologize, but I just can't think of one specific one.
Can we switch gears a little bit to the catching duo, as I think it's a lot more intriguing this year than it was last year with Wong and Reese McGuire. But I almost have a thought that Navarez he might be able to win the job. I mean,
The
dude
number
behind
2
the
job
plate,
or the starting job?
the starting job.
I agree.
The
I
dude
think
can
it comes
catch.
down to, yeah, I think when it comes to catching in the big leagues, like, yeah, you want as much offense as you can get, but we've seen playoff teams and World Series teams where the catcher's bat is an afterthought. It's like, how can he control the staff? So if he has the better repertoire with the pitching staff, that's who you go with. Don't think twice about it. Like, you hope the other 8 guys in the lineups can make up that difference with the bat. Like, we won a World Series with, I keep saying, David Ross as one of our main catchers, and I love David Ross. You just have to have the guy that controls the pitching staff the best. And if
Yeah, but
that ends up being the guy with the biggest bat, perfect. If not, it's the game management when it comes to catchers.
Hey, shout out Ed Hand for following us back on X. Appreciate that.
Damn straight. Appreciate that, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Hope you're listening.
But no, I agree on the Narvaez talk. He looks nice behind the dish, and I don't really care how the catchers hit this year. I mean, I think the lineup's going to be so balanced and very deep with our bench options and what's going to be coming, especially if Willier doesn't start the year in the big leagues. We'll talk about that. But I mean, I don't care how the catchers hit. If we can be better behind the plate, frame some more pitches, throw more guys out. I mean, we're not going to have Reese Noodle Arm McGuire. That guy, holy moly, it's like he was bowling it in there. I think you put producer Tony. Can you hop in real quick?
What's up?
Do you think you have a better chance of throwing out an MLB base runner than Reese McGuire?
My ego wants to say yes,
I think,
but
you
I
have a
don't
better
know
chance.
if that's true.
No, it's definitely true. This guy has a wet pool noodle back there, like saturated. Been in the pouring rain, sitting in a pool for weeks. That's how wet it is.
Which is strange because Reese had plenty of arm exercises in parking lots, so you would think his arm strength would be a little bit better.
And on a slightly more serious note, I mean, like he was a career like 170 hitter. I mean, so that's a guy that needed to be a good backstop. And yeah, I'm so much more happy with the current tandem and the depth that they have at that position. That was a huge upgrade this offseason.
I kind of want to shift gears a little bit, if that's all right. We saw the Jeff. It's Passan, right? You guys criticized me this one time. So the Jeff Passan article that came out about the Red Sox yesterday and how the prospects are kind of changing the way we look at hitting. So coming off that today, both Marcelo and Roman, they both had 104-mile-an-hour opposite field hits today, both resulting in RBIs and extra bases. Myers was a triple off Jack Flaherty, and Anthony's was a double off Maeda. So two of our young studs hitting hard baseballs off of proven MLB arms. Jack Flaherty obviously just won the World Series, went back to Detroit. But I mean, what does that make you guys feel?
That they are perfect. It's the perfect mentality for Fenway Park. Utilize like what makes each ballpark unique, and hitting the ball hard in the air is perfect for Fenway. Obviously, it would be that like everybody wants to hit home runs all the time, but that's not what I'm saying. But being able to, play to the triangle in deep center or smack a double off the green monster is really what makes Fenway a weapon. And if you look back at the numbers over the last couple of years, I mean, they've been bad playing at Fenway. Their numbers, their win percentage has not been good. And so turn Fenway back into a weapon that it was once before.
Right. And if they're going to hit the ball the opposite way hard, like I know people always say, well, Fenway takes away as many home runs because of the wall. Well, it saves you a lot of flyouts too if it turns them into singles and doubles. If you can just get the ball in the air and it's only 310 feet down to the left field line, a lazy fly ball in the Coliseum out in Oakland or Turner Field in Minnesota is a wall ball double in Fenway. So if they're trying to stay on the ball a little bit longer and drive it to left field, it's going to be more positive than negative for those two.
I agree, and I think we should hit more specifically on Meyer now. How does this change his conversation a little bit? I was just talking to two of my friends earlier. Forget exactly what we said, but it's like we said that we came to the conclusion that he definitely has the hardest path of the big three because he is kind of more roadblock with Trevor Story definitely slotted in at shortstop. But I mean, if he keeps hitting like this, you got to find a way, right?
Yes and no. I go back to 2013. Jackie Bradley Jr. lit the world up in spring training, and they called him up early on. I actually cracked the opening day roster, and it was clear from the get-go he wasn't ready. A hot spring doesn't translate to April just yet. So this is a guy that didn't even play in AAA last year because he got hurt. Like, let him get hot in spring training and still let him mature in Worcester at the start of the season. And if Story goes down or what, the dynamics change during the season. We know that. But to start the season off, I would say start in Worcester. No, even if he bats 600 in spring training.
Yeah. So to elaborate on that Jackie Bradley comment as well, I mean, Jackie Bradley then proceeded to hit 190 that following year. So it's certainly spring is not a precursor for big league success. But to your point of an insurance policy on Trevor Story is never going to be a bad thing. And this is a guy that we thought was out of the three, probably the furthest away. But I think that he's proving that he's more ready than at least a lot of Red Sox fans initially thought. And so that's the biggest thing. Go ahead, Fink.
Yeah, and I have a quote from Cora on Meyer after today's game. This was tweeted out by Boston Sports Gordo. But quote by Cora, "You can tell the moment is not too big. I truly believe I was talking to Tech. The higher the level, the better he is going to be. Sometimes people don't talk about him, kind of like he's the forgotten one. He's still a freaking good player."
Yeah, and I mean, if you just look at him, I mean, he's freaking Rico Suave out there. He's so smooth in the field. He's a big guy, 6'3", 6'4", so that's a really big shortstop, but he plays it so effortlessly, so smooth, and then he's got the flow back, so he looks more like Marcelo Meyer of old, and now he's obviously swinging it too, and so he was always the full package coming up through the ranks, and injuries have kind of put him on the back burner. And so I think he has something to prove as he comes back and we see a healthy Marcelo, which is obviously all of our goal. So go ahead, Fink. put your
Did you
finger up.
see the video on Twitter? There's like the front facing angle of him hitting the home run and just how effortless the swing looked. Just holy moly! It was like he was just taking a practice swing with a golf club, and
And
he
it was a piss
smoked
missile
that
too.
ball. Yeah, he fucking smoked that thing. Like, I don't know, man.
He barreled it. He barreled it. So I to your point, Nick, like if the dynamic on the big league roster changes, I think it's much easier to feel more confident of bringing him up, knowing that it's not going to stunt his growth than a couple of weeks ago when it was a much more of an unknown of how will this guy handle big league pitching? Will the moment be too big? I think he's proving now spring training is nothing like playing on opening day at Fenway Park. Let's be very clear. But he's still facing big league talent in a Flaherty, in a Kenta Maeda. And so he's proven that big time velocity or big time breaking balls hasn't been too big for him.
Right. And to take it a step further and a little bit more in depth too, if he doesn't crack the big league club, and this goes with Campbell and Anthony too, like obviously we want these guys up as soon as possible. In terms of Campbell and Anthony, it would be great if they're on the opening day roster. But if they start the year off in Worcester and say they come up in even May, like that's still enough time to make a huge contribution to this year's ball club. And thinking 6 years down the road, you get that extra year of service time. You basically get almost 7 full years before they hit free agency because this wouldn't count as a full service year, as if they started the year on opening. Started the season on the opening day roster when maybe they're not getting the consistent at bats that they need because they're roadblocked in the terms of like Mayor with Story there. So let them get consistent at bats in AAA, save that year of service time, and there's still time to make a huge contribution to this team, even if it's not on opening day.
Nate, starting lineup prediction right now, please.
Yeah, so I think it all starts with Duran. He's going to be the weapon at the top that turns singles into doubles, and then is a threat on the base paths. I would go Raffy next. It's proven that your best hitter in the 2-hole, getting as many at bats as possible, has certainly taken. Go ahead.
I meant more of defensive alignment. Sorry. Sorry.
Well, I mean, hey. So yeah, I'm going. I'm just going to say I'm going to start with Narvaez behind the plate, and then I'm putting Bregman at third, Story at short, Campbell at second, Casas at first. Left field, particularly given that Willier is still behind schedule, I'm going to put Vaughn Grissom out there. They've put Ceddanne Rafaela in center already, and then Duran in right.
So you go Vaughn in left and Campbell at second and not flip flop them?
Yeah.
Why not
That's
no
interesting.
Roman?
If he beats out Grissom or Campbell, then it's an easy flip flop.
I mean, he looks pretty good. He's an outfielder that's playing good outfield defense right now, so I'd probably go. I'm not writing off Vaughn Grisham at all. I really want to see him play for the Boston Red Sox. He's just a guy that's going to be a tough path, but I'm not putting him in the outfield. I'm definitely going with Anthony. He's played good outfield defense so far in the spring. The bat hasn't been as good as Meyer, but I mean, he's hitting 455. Like that's otherworldly. So I don't expect him to hit 455. But I mean, I'm probably putting the outfielder out there. But other than that, I agree pretty much with that lineup. I think it's Anthony. I think it's Duran in left, Anthony in right, and Rafaela in center.
I think that no matter how you line that up, it's going to be a plus defensive outfield.
I think Rafaela's plate discipline is just going to make them have to play him every day. Like he looks a lot more disciplined. He's bigger, and he's probably the best defender in the league if we want to talk about that. Like it's plus defense at 2 different spots. He filled out the frame a little bit. Crazy athlete, and if he has plate discipline, I mean, I'm all for that. He's one of the more clutch hitters in the league last year, innings 7 through 9, I believe. So,
Correct.
Sign me up for that. You need a clutch factor, especially playing in Boston.
And he was statistically the number 1 ranked 9-hitter. I mean, this is a guy that people have so easily forgotten about because of the emergence of a Roman Anthony. But I mean, this is a guy that easily could go 20 jacks and 20 stolen bases, play Gold Glove outfield, and he's on a cheap deal. So, I mean, Rafael, he could continue to increase the ceiling of this team in a pretty major way.
I think all these guys can. I mean, it just feels like they're so young. They're just only going to keep getting better, especially throughout this year, especially with Bregman being there. I think we're already seeing it. I mean, Rafi and Bregman were working out today at third. I mean, the vibes are just awesome. They're off the charts, really. They really are.
And not to mention that
Giolito said that a few
Rafael is
times.
still only 24.
Yeah. 2 years older than I am.
We won't get into how many years younger than I am. That is
14.
Yeah, I'm sorry
14
to.
years younger.
I work hard for
You
these
wanna
gray
know what-
hairs.
Like, I know the birthday for Jaylen Brown. I think it's the same as Devers. I believe they're both like October 24th of 96 because I'm the 29th of 96. And it's like, I'm 5 days younger than both Devers and Brown. Like, that's kind of scary as hell. Like, for me, I feel old thinking that. Like, growing up, all your favorite athletes are 20 years, 30 years older than you. And now it's like the guys' jerseys you wear, you're older than. It's like, that's a scary feeling.
That is an adjustment that all fans go through.
Do you guys want
Yeah.
to touch on the updated Rafael Devers conversation?
I think
Can I just say
Cora
it?
took him out into the backfield and smacked him in the back of the head. And
Can I
you got
say
something
it?
good.
You can say
I
it.
told you
Yeah.
so. I told you so. Big old nothing.
Yep.
Just took a smack behind the head from Alex Cora.
Yeah, and I mean,
Unconfirmed if it was with the fungo
his
bat or not.
To his credit, I'm sure he's tired of answering the question, right? I mean, he said it this week that he gets that same question every single offseason, and now this offseason they have a viable option other than him, and so it does create a little bit more friction there. But I mean, it's still a valid conversation to have. But for him, I can understand why he'd be tired of answering that question, but he has to understand too why it's being asked.
Yeah, can I just say what Giolito said today? Did you guys see this quote?
I didn't.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll read it for you, Nick. Nate, I'm glad you saw it. Again, tweeted out by Boston Sports Gordo. This is Lucas Giolito on the Devers situation. I was kind of astounded when I saw what Rafi said, and I was just kind of laughing. Like, I joked about it with him. And then 2 days later, I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's like a bomb went off on the internet. And I'm like, damn, dude, no one here cares so much about that. And Carabas said it on Section 10, like, they're down there. They said it's a nothing burger. They go around. They've heard nothing about it. I think Nate and I took the same stance when we first talked about the issue. Like, we didn't really care too much about it. We thought it was going to blow over, and it seems like it has so far.
And he hasn't
I
even
don't
played
know.
yet.
Yeah. They said he's going to rejoin team workouts and stuff Monday, so we'll see how that goes. But shout out Gordo, man, keeping me informed.
Gordo's been killing it this spring. I mean, he killed it all off season, but he's such a good follow, and hopefully a guy that we can have on the pod.
David Hamilton.
Looks beefy.
Weatherman. Imagine David
He's
Hamilton was a weatherman. It's just like a hurricane in Florida, and you just turn on the world news, and David Hamilton and his glasses just standing there, like holding his hood on. He's like, "Well, guys, we got a lot of rain," and he just starts running around like the Flash, and he just steals 33 bags in 92 games after being hurt for 2 months. Like, that would be awesome. It'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, too, he looked defensively, he looked way better at second base than he did short. So again, that just adds to the depth of this team. And from all
Second base
accounts,
is like
it seems
5 deep.
Yeah, it seems like the Red Sox are super high on him too. So it's a name that we kicked around as maybe the odd man out last episode, but it certainly doesn't look that way unless they're building up trade value.
I don't know what to. There's so many options at second base. You got Campbell, Grisham. I would put Meyer in there. Hamilton. Am I forgetting
Bregman.
anyone? Oh yeah, Bregman. It's 5 deep. I mean, that's a lot of options. So it seems like second base is going to carry this team. Second base is the blueprint if you want to have a good baseball team. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of Red Sox talk right now. Oh, Lord.
Here we go.
I think you guys know what time it is. Let's get a little
Winning
updated
time.
score in order. Fink is in last with minus 0.5 points. Nate is at 0. Nick is at 2. Last week, no one got the question. It was a little too difficult for you guys with the cornflakes, but
I didn't
you
get
know.
0.5.
Are you? Didn't I say
You
minus
got-
0.5?
you-
Yeah,
Did you?
you
I
did.
don't know. I was too busy messing
When
with the
the-
soundboard. I don't know if you heard it at home,
it's
but
okay.
When the host
But-
don't listen.
Anyways, I don't know if you guys have seen all the. It feels like this year there's been a lot of stuff going on with planes like flipping over and just weird, freaky stuff. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that on the Twitter or Instagram or anything. But I have a riddle today for you guys, and this one, if you get it wrong, it's so simple. It's so simple. So first person to get it gets the point. But if you get it wrong, you're getting minus point because it's so simple. All right, I'll read it out. If a plane crashes on the border of Canada and the U.S., where would you bury the survivors?
You don't bury survivors.
the cemetery.
Give me
Nick,
that,
Nick got
give me
it.
that damn point. Give me that
God
damn
damn,
point.
you got that quick.
Oh wait, what was the question?
Wait, Nick, he better lose a point too, because he said cemetery. He better go
Wait,
down to minus
was it-
1.5.
Where do you bury the dead people?
Yeah, I was too nice last week. You're going down
You
another
said
point.
where do you bury the dead people? Hold on.
That is
Where do you
not
say
what
where
I
do you-
said.
survivors?
Hold on. You said where do you
All right.
rewind the tape?
Yeah, rewind the
tape.
tape. I said, where do you bury the survivors? Open your
You
ears.
said
and maybe
where
you'd hear
do
it.
you bury the dead people? And I said the cemetery.
That is
No,
not
You said
what
you
I
don't bury the
said.
dead.
Making your own narrative.
Yeah.
Nick is
So
taking
I'm
a
up to
commanding
three.
lead right now. This is, fellas, this is not looking good for you guys.
I need more
Oh.
candy
Fink,
questions.
you gotta figure it out, bro. Next question will be a movie question, so prep.
Ooh, okay. Here we go.
That's
I like
for
how
next
you bring
episode.
up planes crashing as I'm getting ready to board one in a couple days. So thank you for that, PT.
Hasn't there been like 88 plane issue, 89 plane crashes since the start of the year?
This is gonna
Yeah.
bring you actually good juju.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
You bet
All
your
right,
ass.
let's-
I'm going to be the person clapping when it lands this time.
Do not, dude. Do not be that guy. You're booted from the
it's-
pod if you do that.
Try me.
You're a clapper. I hate those people.
I've never been a clapper. I might turn into one.
Interesting. All right, let's talk Celtics. They lost last night to Detroit by 20. People can overreact. I mean, they haven't lost on the road in over a month. They had won 7 in a row before that. It was the second night of a back-to-back. Jalen didn't play. Porzingis was coming off an illness. I mean, was he sick? We don't know. They might have just said he wasn't playing for that first part of the back-to-back. But initial thoughts, I mean, I know Tony texted our group chat. He's like, oh, bad Celtics loss. Like, this is what's wrong with Boston sports fans. They don't understand. Like, let's just take a step back. We're okay. We just won 7 in a row. Tony, like, come on, take a step back. But not worried. They got a really big weekend coming
We
up.
are okay. I never said we weren't.
I'll pull up the group chat if you want me to, but Tony said we are in major, major trouble. Nick, I'm going to send it to you because they have a really big weekend coming up. So walk us through that weekend.
Yeah. So last night was the definition of the scheduled loss, the trap game, whatever you want to call it. You hit on it. Second night of a back-to-back. No Jaylen Brown. Porzingis and Horford were coming back. It's funny how Porzingis' mysterious big toe injury always comes healing anytime there's a back-to-back. But on top of that, it was the start of 5 games in 7 nights. The 2 biggest ones coming up Friday and Sunday. Friday, we get the matchup with Cleveland, first seed in the East, which right now it feels like we're just far enough back where it's probably out of the question, but it's just a measuring stick game. I think it will tell us more about the Cavs than it will tell us about the Celtics, simply because we know what the Celtics team is. Do we really have a grasp on what the Cavs are? Like, they're having a tremendous season, all-time great regular season. They're on pace for what, 64, 65 wins? That's up there. But are they going to be like the 2015 Hawks or the 2012 Pacers that win 60 games and it's basically a fake 1 seed because you're going to get walloped in the playoffs by either the Celtics or like the Bucks did a couple years ago, lose to an 8 seed
Donovan
as
Mitchell
the
has done
one.
this before. He was the 1 seed in Utah, and they fizzled out and lost in the first round. I'm never going to be worried about a Donovan Mitchell-led team,
Right.
I feel like. And
Right.
that's not a knock on Donovan Mitchell because he's one of my favorite watches, I think, because he's like up there and getting buckets, athleticism, like guys that care about where they play, like want to be there. It's just he's a great watch. It's just I'm not going to fear him in like 7-game series until he proves that to me. I mean, he got hurt last year. He's been to the playoffs many, many times, and what has he done?
Right. And so that's why I say I think this game tells us on Friday more about the Cavs than it does the Celtics, no matter the outcome. If the Celtics beat them by 40 and just run them out of the gym, I'm not going to sit here and say
they get up for big games.
Yeah, exactly. They know when to turn it on. After we beat Cleveland last game in Cleveland, like this is more of a statement game for Cleveland to show that they belong in that conversation. The game that's going to tell me more about the Celtics than anything is Sunday afternoon against Denver. Denver, the last few years, has always been the team that really can put it to the Celtics, and the Celtics still have some sort of weird it factor with Denver. They can't close them out. Last year, they were leading late in the fourth quarter at home, and then the last 4 minutes, they couldn't score a point, and they collapsed. I believe that was their first home loss last year against Denver. They started off 21-0 at home or whatever, something stupid. And Denver still.
Game in Denver? Is this game in Denver?
No, it's in Boston. It's the start of a 7-game home stretch.
Celtics win by 20.
No, I think it's more. It's going to be in the single digits. So I'm more interested in Sunday's game than I am Friday's game. Like, if they come out and split the next 2 games and say they lose at home on Friday but win Sunday, I think that tells us more about the Celtics. Like, obviously, I want them to go 2-0 and basically put the statement out to the rest of the NBA. Yeah, we're back. That January, early February lull was just that, a lull. They took their foot off the gas for God knows what reason. But when it comes time to the big competition, they know basically when they put their nuts on the table and basically tell the rest of the league to go suck it because they got no chance.
8 of the Celtics' last 15 matchups versus the Nuggets, the Celtics have won by double digits.
How many of them did Jokic play? There's a few in there that he didn't play.
I don't know that stat, but I think that's pretty telling. And, I mean, let's see, there was a streak from 2021 to 2023 where they went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-1 versus them. They won the last matchup. They lost what you were just talking about, Nick. Or no, they lost that. That was a 102-100 final. Then they lost again to them.
But they were up 100. They were up 194 with 3 minutes to go, and they just couldn't score.
Yeah, but I feel for me, I never really have feared the Nuggets. Even I've said this when it was the Heat Nuggets finals. I felt like the Celtics could have beat the Nuggets that year, and I know they probably wouldn't have, but I thought they could have given them a really good run. Even that was a different look than what we have now. But I think Jokic is great, but I don't care. Big Celtics guy, big Celtics bias. So
I don't think anyone in the East can stand in the conversation with the Celtics right now. Cleveland is the only one who can make that case just because the record is what the record is. But when it comes time to a 7-game series, I'd still bet the Celtics in 5. I would maybe give a little bit more respect to home court advantage and say maybe the Cavs push it to 6. But we saw last Sunday, I can't take the New York Knicks seriously. Like, they're a joke and a half. Like,
they lost their defensive identity, losing DiVincenzo, losing Hartenstein. They have nothing on defense. Cat is a potato. Brunson is a potato. Bridges is like, I don't even know.
Can you define that? What is a potato?
So yeah, I can define that. So a potato when when Jason Tatum dribbles up the floor and Jalen Brunson is in front of him, he pretty much just stays there, like a potato would. Like a potato would just stay in one spot, like. Yeah, and if
Like
there was no
couch
free throw line,
potato.
You mean like a
Jalen Brunson
cone?
would not. Yeah, cone, potato. Like Tony's a cone, for example. Absolute cone on defense. Trae Young's a cone, like guys like that.
Tony, can you edit this episode to make Fink sound more like an idiot? Like, get your revenge
I can help with that.
Does this help?
We know.
Does this help?
Oh my God.
I don't know why it's so echoey, but I think this probably helps me sound like an idiot, right?
Anyway,
You do that on your own.
thanks. Ouch.
No problem.
But to answer your question, Nick, I do think that they took their foot off the gas because they could.
Right.
I mean, these games at this time of the year, they don't hold the same weight as they do in April, May, and June. So
right. And
Yeah,
with how many big games this core has played together and how many deep runs in the playoffs they've made in the last 5, 6, 7 years, like, they know they're going to be a top 2 seed in the East. They know this season really doesn't start until the second round. Why are you getting up for a game in the middle of January against Charlotte, or no offense to Charlotte, or whatever, those groups of teams, when they got their eyes set for May and June? Like, it's understandable. It's human nature. Like, that's why when they were going through it in January, it's like, I'm not worried about it because they've shown time and time again when the lights get bright, they'll be fine. And once they got their stuff together, they won 9 out of 10. They satisfied the 40-20 rule, which history shows you need 40-20 to actually put up a banner. I think only 3 teams in the last 25, 30 years have been able to not do it. So they got to 40-20. They got their heads out of their asses from where they were in January. Now it's just get through the rest of the regular season healthy and go from there. Health is the number one concern I have for the rest of the regular season, not wins or losses.
I agree. Yeah, the rest of the East is just an absolute shithole. It really is the Cavs. I think it's the Celtics. It's the Celtics, a little bit of space. I think the Cavs, and then it just completely drops off. I mean, the Knicks will give anyone in the East a run besides the Celtics just because they are a good basketball team, but the Celtics are better.
Right. And
but I mean, the Bucks have been not great. The Sixers are in hell. Holy moly. I mean, Paul George had to stop podcasting to try and focus on basketball. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about Philly. The Pistons, though, the Pistons will be a solid 5 seed. I mean, that's a tough matchup.
They might get to the 4 seed. They were going into last night's game. I think they were only one game back of Indy, so they might have a chance to host a playoff series, which is the most surprising thing. But in terms of the scale between the Celtics and the rest of the teams, I don't know if the listeners out there enjoy this type of talk, but with gambling, Vegas always knows. Like, it's always the running joke that I looked 2 nights ago. I think the betting favorites for your 2025 champions, it's tied right now between the Thunder and the Celtics at like plus 250. And then the next team is the Cavs, but it's like plus 600. So it's almost 3 times more unlikely that the Cavs will win the finals than the Celtics. if you're going by Vegas and the betting odds. So I think that tells you who Vegas feels comfortable coming out of each conference.
Have the Pistons been good since like Ben Wallace days?
No.
The
No.
Celtics
I
beat
mean-
them in the Celtics beat them in the 2008 Eastern Conference Finals to get to the finals that first year with the big three. And then that was really the end of the Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups window where they went to fall off, and they've been mediocre to bad ever since.
They were solid for a couple of years with Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond. They were just like a
Okay, I forgot about the Blake years.
They were like a 5, 6, 7 seed in the playoffs every
Yeah.
time, and Blake was always on one knee. It was like right at the tail end of Blake Griffin really figuring out all three levels of basketball, and then he just like the injuries caught up to him. But it was a different type of Blake Griffin. It was like getting buckets, not just jumping over cars. It was pretty sweet. And then Drummond just getting 300 rebounds because he was missing 40 layups.
And now Drummond's in Philly looking like a slob and playing like a slob. So
I hate that guy.
I just remember Ben Wallace from playing NBA Street Jams. Like that game was so cool. 3v3. Could have fire shooting out of your shoes.
kind of like MLB Slugfest.
Yeah. That was when sports games were goated.
Exactly.
Or the MVP baseball with Manny on the front, 05.
Best baseball game ever made.
Oh,
might be
so
arguably the best sports video game ever made.
MLB The Show 25 will have something to say about that.
Are you excited about that drop?
I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I'm going to be in Myrtle Beach for baseball when it comes out, but once I get back, I'm going to play it when I can. But I'm going to be very excited. I dominated Tony in MLB last year, so hopefully he can put up a better performance this year.
Yeah, but no one will ever break my record of wins in a row. So try beating that.
That's true.
Broke the A's record versus you.
I
beat Fink 27 straight games in MLB.
It was 21, but
no, I think it was more than that. I think I shattered that record.
No, but yeah, last year I beat him 71 times. Just saying. So 71 to 41, right, Tony? Anyway, you can mute yourself. Thanks. I don't know why you talk so much. It's getting kind of. I don't know why. Since we put him on the screen, he thinks he can just talk at free will. That's not really how this goes, but we'll talk about that behind the scenes. I don't really think he thinks he is.
Tony, you have my permission to talk whenever you want and mute Fink whenever you want.
No. All right, Nick, you're on the shit list now too. Nate, looks like it's just you and I.
Me and you, baby.
Yeah.
We're gonna carry this. Nothing new there, though.
Talk about carry. Derek White in the fourth quarter feels like any shot he throws up, Nick. I know you watch most of the games, but any shot I feel like he throws up in the fourth quarter, I do not care. I feel like it's going in. You see the shot the other night when? Yeah, I know exactly what you're going to talk about.
Oh my God.
They threw it to him.
Like that.
He's in the air, caught it, just chest pass, swishes it.
He literally hit an alley-oop three-pointer from the corner. Like I've never seen that. Where it's like shot clock's running down under a second. He has the presence of mind to see it, so he's already starting his jump shot as the pass is in the air, catches it and just throws it out of the rim, and it just somehow goes in. It's like I wish they would have won last night, so that highlight is there forever in terms of some of the great regular season highlights, but it's going to get lost in time because it came in a 20-point blowout. But that one actually got me out of my seat. Not much gets me out of my seat during a regular season NBA game. That one was like, holy shit, like what the hell was that?
Yeah, it just feels like the shot making, the shot, like the level of the shot quality and just like the difficulty of shots he hits is just crazy, especially being like the third or fourth option. Like you didn't see this in San Antonio. He didn't have this type of confidence. He was still a good player. Like I think he had like 34 in a playoff game or something like that at one point early in his career. But
you talked about it in his time in San Antonio, and I read a story that when he was in the G League in San Antonio, he had all the talent in the world, and the G League coaches said the hardest challenge with Derek White was trying to convince him he was this good, because he didn't have that confidence, and all the coaching staff saw it. And once he was able to start to realize it a little bit, it was when he made his jump in San Antonio, and then Brad Stevens pulled off the trade of the decade, getting him here for Romeo Langford and at the time a fourth grader for 2029 draft pick.
Josh Richardson.
And Josh Richardson. Romeo Langford was in that deal though.
Yeah, he was.
And that first year was in Boston was the year they made it to the finals against Golden State, where he played an integral role in that team. And then obviously the next year he grew into the role even more. Had the buzzer beater put back in Game 6 against Miami, and if it wasn't for Jason Tatum rolling his ankle in Game 7, that's another 3-0 comeback in Boston sports history we get to hang up on the wall. But and then last year he was just Derek effing White. Like,
say it.
Just to see the growth of him in just the last 3 years of when we've had him in green. But overall, from his G League days till now, it's a huge jump, and it's great to see.
So we're creeping up on that 1 hour mark, and I don't want to put a wrap on the Celtics talk yet, but I want to put out a kind of a hot take. Nick, I know we've talked about this, but we know the sale of the team's coming up. The Celtics are a second apron team. We know all that. They're going to have to extend Porzingis after next season, not this season. They're going to probably have to move off of one of these contracts. Drew Holiday, do you think they move Drew Holiday?
I think,
maybe
unfortunately,
not. Maybe at the end of this year, maybe the end of next.
It'll probably something's going to have to happen this upcoming summer. I don't know if Horford's getting up there, but he's only $10 million. You're not trading Horford. That's a bad look. Like we talked last episode about what it would mean trading Marchand for the Bruins. Trading Al Horford at this stage of his career, I don't see as an option. So you're looking at the big money guys. Like, let's go down the list. Tatum and Brown, they're off the table. I don't think you trade your two foundational pieces at 28 and 27 years old.
Mavericks would have said the same about Luka.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I was going to shit on you for saying that, but then Nate said the Luka thing, and I was like, wait, yeah, he's kind of right.
Yeah,
they're definitely not trading those two because they're not Luka. They actually care about basketball.
Yeah,
they're not smoking the hookah like Luka. Oh,
yeah, Brad Stevens isn't brain dead like Nico. So that leaves the last three big money guys are Porzingis, Holiday, and Derek White. If you're going to cater to your superstar in Tatum, Derek White is his favorite teammate, not named Al Horford. You're not trading Derek White. So at least Porzingis and Holiday as who do you choose as the odd man out? I think it has to be Holiday, especially the jump that Pritchard's made the last 2 years. Like, you got the replacement Holiday right there with Pritchard. So
I think the conversation might change if Porzingis doesn't stay healthy. If he's banged up for another playoff run, then they're probably it would be a really hard guy to move off of because, I mean, he is a unicorn. We've talked about he was Wemby before Wemby. Like, before that first knee injury, he was a freaky athlete. He was shooting just like he does now, but I feel like if he's not...
the thing with that is if he gets another injury in the playoffs, how much does his trade value take a hit? Like, Holiday is getting old and all of that, but there is still more suitors for Holiday simply because of the leadership and the experience and the ultimate locker room guy. Like, before he came to the Celtics, he won teammate of the year 2-3 times. Like, Holiday has this natural respect around the league where a young team that is trying to, maybe a San Antonio Spurs that are young right now or something like that, where you bring in a Drew Holiday to be a mentor, like, there's still value in that. So in terms
I agree.
Who would be the easiest trade if Porzingis gets hurt? Yeah, you would like to give out from underneath an injury-ridden center, but Holiday would still be I would think, is the odd man out in terms of if you're shedding salary for the new owner, it's Holiday. And I don't think there's an argument to be really made for any of the other big money guys.
There isn't at all. You can move pieces around. We've seen them do it all the time. So they can be fine shipping off a piece here and there. It's not, I don't think it can be Porzingis. I think the team definitely takes way more of a hit moving Porzingis than Holiday. And like you said, they have Pritchard that can just slot in and I mean, they can easily. They have a lot of their. They have 5 first-round picks. They have a lot of second-round picks. They can make a trade if they need to bring in another younger defensive first type of point guard if they have to. Bring someone else in the building and train them up. Like we know they
Well,
can develop. We know they can do all these things.
and you're not trading Holiday for just picks because most of the teams that you trade him to, the other team's going to have to shed some salary to bring him in.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a player back for Holiday, but it's going to be someone on an expiring contract plus picks. So maybe you package Holiday in some of those 5 first-round picks and you get a quality guard back, like you're saying.
Yeah, you
but
definitely
maybe it's
would
a
have
little
to
bit
get a
cheaper.
guard because we talked
Yeah.
about the guard depth. I think at the trade deadline, and we thought there was 2 things they needed: either another wing/big, or like another guard. So yeah, losing Holiday, you definitely need to bring in a guard. But I think that I don't know about you guys, but I think that's pretty much all there is to talk about Celtics right now as we wait for them to be sold. But I think it's time to hop in to Nate's trivia. Nate, I know you have a question that you've been dying to ask us all episode. So how about you take it away and ask this question?
Yeah, sure do. And of course, it goes back to my favorite team, my favorite sport, Boston Red Sox. I don't know if anybody knows this, but we happen to have a Boston sports podcast, Boston Banner Blueprint. So this week's question, Red Sox themed, is in 2006. What switch hitting center fielder did the Red Sox acquire from Cleveland in the wake of Johnny Damon's departure to the Yankees? So we talked Red Sox, we talked Yankees on this episode. So let's flash back to 2006. What switch hitting center fielder did the Red Sox acquire from Cleveland in the wake of Johnny Damon's departure to the Yankees? One of my favorite players growing up. A unique guy. Fun guy to watch.
Coco Crisp.
You're not supposed to give the answer.
What the hell? Well, there's the correct. Good job.
Do I get a point?
No, you lose a point.
Tony, just
Nice.
bleep that out. But keep everything else.
So now that we got the trivia out of the way, is it time for the vault?
If you got a story, I would listen to a little
I got
voltage.
one. I got
All right,
one.
I'm
So
ready.
Nate, so we did Sox and Celtics tonight. Nate did trivia for the Red Sox, so I figured let's do a Celtics vault. And this week we saw Luka's return to Dallas with the Lakers. We also saw Dallas with an incredible comeback against Oklahoma City. I think they were down 16 with like 3 minutes to go, and he came storming back and pulled off an upset win. So I was trying to think of, well, what Celtics game has a huge comeback? And let's fuck the Lakers. Like, let's throw in a Lakers misery here too. I'm going back to June of 2008, Game 4 in LA. Celtics up 2-1 in the finals against the Lakers, the first year of the Big Three. Turned around, I believe it was an 18-win team the year before, to a 66 regular season win team in 2008. KG, Pierce, Ray, Rondo. Head out to LA after taking a 2-0 series lead at home. They drop Game 3. Game 4 against Kobe, they find themselves in an early hole. Middle of the second quarter, they're down 24 points. And now, today's NBA, 24 points is nothing. You can erase a 24-point lead pretty damn quickly with all the three-pointers. Just get a quick hot run for 4 or 5 minutes, and you're right back in it. Back then, yeah, you had at the time the best three-point shooter of all time in Ray Allen before Curry came along. But you weren't hucking up 40, 50 threes a game. You were maybe hucking up 20 to 25. Like, you had to chip away leads slowly. So, against Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, you're down 24 points. Game's over. Like, you're not coming back from that too often or not. And I always remember the story of Doc Rivers in that third quarter telling the guys in timeouts, don't look at the scoreboard. Just keep playing. We're going to win this game. Just keep playing. Just keep chipping away. And by the end of the third quarter, it's a 2-point game. Now, the Celtics didn't end up taking the lead until like the 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Eddie House, nice little sweet jump shot that rattled in to take the lead, and they never really looked back. Ray Allen sealed the game in the closing seconds with a nice crossover lefty layup. They end up winning this game. I believe it was like 97-91, 97-92, somewhere in that range, to take a 3-1 lead. This is before the 2016 season, obviously, with LeBron James storming back against the Warriors 3-1. So 3-1 lead basically wrapped it up in embarrassing fashion for the Lakers. I remember the story of Rick Grossback saying after that game, they went to a nightclub in LA and basically took the Celtics credit card and he threw it down on the table and said, every drink is on me tonight, because they kind of felt like they won it that night, even though there was still another game to go. And there's a famous picture of Wick and the rest of the ownership group in the front office taking a picture in front of a huge face picture of Jack Nicholson, super Laker fan, basically rubbing it in their face. They could have won it in LA on the Lakers court in Game 5. Kobe Bryant with a late steal on Paul Pierce sealed it. Come back to Boston, and it was never a game. Boston annihilated them by like 36 to hang Banner 17. But in terms of the Mavericks, come back this week against Oklahoma City, and then on top of Luka's return to Dallas with the Lakers, it's trying to talk about this game for in Celtics history. It's always a fun one to bring up. One, because screw the Lakers. Like, anytime you get to shit on them, it's a good story to tell. You do it. So, Game 4, 2008 NBA Finals, Celtics overcome a 24-point deficit. I believe at the time it was the biggest comeback in Finals history. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but go for it.
I love the Walsh's vault. I really do. We had a conversation with Ed Hand on Twitter today. He was asking about our segments, and we had to talk about the Walsh's vault. I mean, it's like the talk of the town. It should be in the Boston Globe. But I think it's time for some closing thoughts. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we're over an hour. Nate, Tony's going to have a lot of editing on his hands. So, Nate, final thoughts?
Excited to get down to Florida, start to see the 2025 Red Sox take shape. So that's on the horizon. And then we got some Sox games, and then as I mentioned last episode, I'll be at the Lenovo Center next Thursday, a week from today, to watch the Bruins take on the Canes. So just a whole lot of Boston content coming y'all's way.
Nick?
My closing thoughts with these two teams specifically, just get me to April. Get me to the opening days for the Sox. Get me to the playoffs for the Celtics. Like, we're at the end of February, March. Just please fly by. Please get us to April.
Tony?
My closing thoughts. I don't want to take up too much time. Only one thing I disagreed with was the Donovan Mitchell take, but I'll save that for another day.
Yeah, you're an idiot. So I'm not asking for your final thoughts ever again. Not going to listen to Donovan Mitchell talk. For me, just really excited to go to spring training. Hopefully can meet some of my favorite players on the team. Really want to talk to Rafi, show him my impression. Tony will put the clip up if he wants, but yeah, I do a really good Rafi impression, so I'll be excited to talk to him. But I think Nick, you hit the nail on the head. Give me to April. I think that's a perfect way to end it. So yeah, for the Boston Banner Blueprint boys, we are signing out. Peace.